we have from the ground up, we have kept in mind that it should be easy for programmers to approach, and even new learners should be able to easily get on board. Breeze is absolutely free of charge. There is no, as long as you're an ICICI client, ICICIdirect client, you can use Breeze without any registration, without any cost. The only cost you'll incur will be the simple cost of your trading. As per your brokerage plan, you'll be charged for all trades that go through. Right. Breeze also brings never seen before historical data. So I'm sorry if anyone is having connectivity issues. Saurav, can you tell us, is my connection okay? Seeing a few people.
Yes, your connection is fine. I can hear you well.
Okay. So Breeze also brings never seen before historical data. Mostly in the market you will find, and you may even be made to pay for historical data, which is only for equities and which is only up until 1 minute OHLC candles, right? So that's something that Breeze brings free of charge for any user. You connect to Breeze, you will get historical equities data in one OHLC format starting from April 2011 at the moment. You will also get historical OHLC data for derivatives from April 2018 onwards. And you'll also get historical 1 second data, right? So 1 second data is something that you will not find anywhere. You will not find historical derivatives data anywhere. You also get 1 second historical derivatives data, right? So in terms of historical data, Breeze really outdoes expectations in that sense. We'll also be coming up with live streaming OHLC candles, right? So at the moment, those of you who write algorithms would know, you get only a live streaming data, which is like, a 1 second or somewhere around 1 second granularity. And then you have to catch that data in its entirety, keep processing it in a parallel thread, and then use it on your actual logic thread. Instead, we'll be coming up with, you'll be getting streaming OHLC data. So, you'll get 1 minute candles, 5 minute candles that you can directly plug into your system and use. There'll be no need for you to run parallel threads to aggregate that live streaming data. Another feature of Breeze that is not seen in any other offering is three layers of security, right? So most places most APIs you will find are either simply HTTPS coded, where is simply the protocol itself that encodes it, or at best you'll find one layer of encryption, which is usually your API key or secret. Here we have 3 layers of protection. So your messages between ICICI Securities and your own code are very virtually uncrackable unless some kind of supercomputer behind it. Of course, all of this comes with the lowest brokerage plan. So it is recommended. We recommend the Neo plan, in which futures trading is you have 0 transaction costs. There's 0 brokerage for futures trading, and if you club it with Prime, then you also get extremely low trading cost for equities as well. So someone here asked, is good for some first question that comes from many people, is this good only for derivatives, or is this for equities as well? See, it depends on your strategy. Whatever your strategy is, you can use it. So it is both for you can use Breeze API for both equities and derivatives. If your strategy is a derivative strategy, you use it for that. If you have an equity strategy, you'll probably use it for that, right? So it's completely up to you, and there is no whether it's long-term, short-term trading, intraday, or carry trades. That's also up to your strategy. Breeze API lets you do all of that. Sort of anything I've missed so far, or should we?
No, I think and there are questions on the checksum. I'm sure you want to cover that. as you will give your demo. So
right. So checksum issues, all checksum issues will be solved. We'll show you how to use the SDK, the Python SDK. We'll show you how to use the Python SDK. So I mean, you really won't have to use checksum. Do the checksum yourself. It'll be handled by you. By the SDK itself. Yeah. So moving on, I mean, let's take a step back, right? Let's take a step back and understand what is API, right? So, I believe Tan just asked, where do we use Breeze API? So let's take a step back and understand what APIs are, right? So what are APIs? So for anybody who's joining now, this is just as good time. You can. I have basically listed out the outstanding features of Breeze API, which you can see on this page as well. So yeah, getting back to what are APIs, right? So let's take a step back for those who need this understanding, right? So in 1999, right, ICICIdirect came up with, for the first time in India, online brokerage, right? So we had a website. We were the first to create a website, and you could trade on your web browser, right? That's the first time it happened in history. So before that, you either you went to the broker and you told him what trade you want to take, or you called your broker and you said, hey, please place this trade for me at this price, and so on and so forth. Right. So for the first time, so what happened? You open a browser, right? So what happens when you started doing that? You open a browser, you log into ICICIdirect, right? Maybe you bring up the chart. Let's say random one, Reliance, right? So you open the chart of Reliance and you find out the price and what's going on in the market, and then you think that, okay, this is where I want I want to place an order at this price or this quantity and so on. And then you enter that order into your screen, right? Into your screen, you place that order, and then you click submit, right? Place order. After confirmation, Saurabh, I'm getting this request for annotate. I don't know.
No, you can decline it. I think it may be a mistake at this stage. Yeah, we'll continue.
Okay. So you place an order, right? So what does the website do? The browser that's open on your end, it creates a message, right? It creates a message. Let's say Reliance quantity 1, order type market order, right? And then this message is sent by the browser to the web server of ICICIdirect, right? The web server receives it, and then it passes on the message to our backend servers, the RMS, OMS kind of system, and from there it goes to the exchange. When the order is fulfilled, again the web server takes that message, that order is fulfilled, and it sends back to your browser, and then you see the order confirmation that this is done, right? So same thing with your mobile, right? So you open the app, you log into the app, you create an order. Your mobile app, it sends a message to a server on ICICIdirect, and then that message is passed on to the backends. And then once your order is confirmed, that confirmation message is sent back to your app. Right. So what we have here is these two examples of mobile, of web browser and mobile app. You are getting the front end ready-made for you, right? You don't have to come and create the website, right? Or you don't have to create an app. It's ready-made. You download it, or you open it in the browser and you start using it. Similarly, you have an API, right? So what does an API do? It's basically a code, right? You can write your own code, and your code, in the code, you will create that message. Like your code will create that message that Reliance size 1 type market order, and then that message will go to the API server of ICICIdirect. So similar to how your web browser sent a message to the web server, here your code will send a message to the API server of ICICIdirect, and that API server will pass that message on to the backend and exchanges and so on. And when that confirmation comes, the API server of ICICIdirect will send a confirmation message back to your code, and your code should have the ability to handle it. So here, simply the difference what's the difference now between web browser, mobile app, and code? In the case of code, the code is your own creation. Website was ready-made for you. The mobile app was ready-made for you. But in case of the code you have to write yourself. but this becomes your interface, and that gives you a lot of flexibility on how to handle, how to create an order, how quickly you can create an order, what logic you can use to create the order, right? With a web browser and a mobile screen, you have to, all your judgments are taking place in your head. You have to, visually understand, market is heading where, what pattern am I seeing, or, what kind of calculations do I need to do to understand this, whether to, whether to place a trade or not. Here, your code can take that decision, right? So that's the difference. So yes, it involves a lot of work. Yes, you will have to, maybe those of you who are new to coding, you may have to learn how to code. But at the end of the day, you'll have to write code, you'll have to put some effort. But the reward is that you have far greater control. And, it takes another thing that we will talk about a lot in trading is it takes the emotions out, right? A code will not get emotional. A code will not get upset or get excited and place a trade without thinking. Right? Another great thing about API. So the starting point for Breeze is this homepage, this URL, https://api.icicdirect.com/API user/home. So here, you simply start with entering your ICICIdirect.
Yeah, so you see Breeze here. I mean, just click on Breeze here on the box. Yeah, this takes you to the landing page.
Okay. All right. So just enter my credentials here. Okay. Right. So now we're logged in. Let's just quickly take a look at the various utilities that are here. So you'll be most interested in number one, Breeze documentation. This is the API, the documentation of the core API. Mind you, this is not the SDK. I know people have been trying code samples from here, but this is not the SDK. This is actually you're tapping into the core API endpoints, right? So this is very raw, and this is probably meant for those of you who want to develop your own applications, right? In the sense of like a startup or something. Yeah. Here we have the Breeze community. This is ideally your starting point. If you have any questions, if you have any queries, please post here. We monitor this on a continuous basis, and we answer questions as soon as we can get around to that. So yes, let's get started with API. It's with creating an app. So first, what we'll do is we'll create an app. Then we will activate that app, and then we will jump to the code portion, coding part of it, and how to do basic tasks like logging in over API, how to place an order, how to get historical data, live data, and so on. So yeah, the first step to register an app is after logging in, you go to the tab called Register an App. Okay. The app name can be anything you want, that you want to remember this app by. Usually you will give it a name based on your, on the app, where you're using it, because, you may be using a third party, you may be using it, you may have 5 different projects that you want to run. So if you're going to run 2 different strategies in 2 different code files, ideally you should create 2 separate apps so you can track them separately. So since I'm creating this app for a webinar demo, I'll call this a webinar demo app. Redirect URL. We get many questions on this. So what is a redirect URL? So when I gave you the example that you write a piece of code, that code sends a message to the API server, and when the API server is done, maybe you place a trade or you request historical data, where does this acknowledgement come back? Okay, that's the whole idea here. For most default, those of you who are developing an application, you'll probably, as a startup or something, you'll probably, know exactly what to do. For most of us, it suffices to write HTTPS 127.0.0.1, right? This much is sufficient. You really don't have to bother with much more than this, right? So, and then we click submit. Our app has been created. We can get the HTTP, the app key and the secret key here. It is recommended, I'll just save this to a notepad for future reference. And also I would like to keep track of the redirect URL I gave. So let me just. Right. Okay. Now the app has been created. Now it's important to activate this app, right? So let's go quickly here. We see that webinar demo app has been created. The same, API key and secret key. Now, right now the default state is deactive. Right? We click here. Want to activate this app? Yes. The status has changed. Right? App is active now. Right. So notice one thing here. Okay, I mean, this is something that people miss sometimes, is that you see here, this is the app key, and the app key, this API key, it uses special characters, right? So why do we have special characters and not just alphanumeric? Well, this is basically for security, right? For security reasons. More the characters that a randomly generated key can use, the harder it is to crack, right? So this is done purely from the point of view of security. What is an API key, right? So that's another question that we frequently get. What is an API key? What is its significance? So, and what is secret key? Okay. So when you create an app, okay, the app is basically, it's meant for computer to computer communication, right? So you will write a piece of code which will communicate with the ICICI web server, API server, and then that API. Then beyond that, your account number will be used, but the API key is basically for the code to communicate with the app with the API server. So here the app key or the API key acts as a username, right? It acts like a username for your code. So if you've written 3 different apps, right? Let's say you've got 3 different apps running in parallel. Each one of them identifies themselves by its different API key. Okay. API key for the entire time that API is that your app is live or you're using it, the API key must remain the same. Okay. You change the API key, if you create a separate app and you stop using the old API key, it just the computer thinks that this is a different app altogether, because that's how it identified your app or your piece of code. The secret key, now intuitively, right? So the secret key acts like acts like the password. Okay. So you have the username, which is the API key. The secret key is the password. The password can be changed. I mean, just like in real life. Here, I can say regenerate key, and this will generate a new password on this field, right? So let's say for session test 2, the previous one, I'll regenerate the key. Right? You see that this key has been changed, right? So the again, just quickly recap. App key is the username of your code. Secret key is the password of your code. Okay. So you're used to logging in, right? So you must have seen on many places that you get a what do you call that? The mobile, on the mobile you get a PIN number, right? You try to log in, you get a PIN number, you enter that PIN number, and that logs you in, right? So similar to that, and according to regulations, we need a session key. Let's get to the process of how to generate a session key. Right? For session key, let's just quickly refer to B2B documentation. Yeah. So this is the base URL that you will need for your session key generation, right? So here you're expected to give your API key, right? But again, let's not miss the fact that our API key has special characters in it, right? So you might notice that login question mark API underscore key is equal to da 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 da, and then another you've got two equal signs in the middle. So this might not be happily processed by the browser, and it may cause some confusion. The browser mistakes it as a reserve character. So for this purpose,
This just to say, yeah, your screen only was the API screen was visible. I mean, if you were the other screen, that screen wasn't visible.
oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Right. So I've been okay. Sorry about that. I've been noting down. So okay. So on a notepad in parallel with my whole process of generating the app and getting the keys, I've been noting down these things for later reference. Okay, that's all that's been going on that we missed. Right. So I noted when the Breeze website showed me the app name, app key, and secret key, I just copy pasted it here. Just for my own reference, just to remember what redirect URL I used, I noted it here. And from Breeze from API documentation, I took the base URL for generating the session key for today, right? For 24 hours. So again, I'll just quickly repeat that you notice that your base URL has reserve character called equal to, but so does my API key, right? So because the API key has special characters in it, that might cause some confusion. So what we do is we call it a simple encoding. So if you just Google for, there are two ways to do it basically. You can either go for a public website, so any of these websites will give you a simple encoded string. Okay. Or later on, I can show you a programmatic way to create a encoded URL, right? So you see, the equal to signs have been the special characters in my API key have been replaced by escape characters, right? This percentage D actually 3D represents equal to sign. So wherever there was an equal to sign, it has been replaced by percentage 3D. Obviously, you don't need to remember this. You can just encode your URL anywhere on any publicly available website. So my complete encoded URL is this now. I take this and then I put it into my browser. So if you've made it this far, great. You've been successful at generating a valid API key, and you've created a URL from that, an encoded URL from that API key. At this point, you will be required to open your developer tab. Okay. On any browser, and I've tested this on Edge browser that comes with Windows these days, on Firefox, both on Linux and Windows, on Chrome, both on Linux and Windows, and on the Brave browser. Control Shift I. Right? So Control Shift I will open the developer tab. Will open the developer tab of your browser. In the developer tab, please go to Network tab, right, and keep this tab open while you enter your credentials, right? So remember, you must have this developer tab. Sort of, somebody said it's not visible. Can you see my screen? Can you see the developer tab and everything? So again, I'll repeat this. This is very important. The network tab must be open at the time when you submit your credentials. If you submit the credentials and the whole process is over, after that you open your network tab, you will not see anything. Okay. So you click submit here. Okay. It doesn't matter what you see here. What matters is that the redirect URL that you had given should be visible in the network tab now. That's important, right? So here I had given HTTPS 127.0.0.1, and I see that in my network tab. I need to click this. I will click this, and in the payload, I will see an item called API session. This is my session key. My session key is an identifier. It is required by regulation that a session key be valid for either 24 hours or midnight, right? And it should expire, and then the next day you have to generate a new one. That is by regulation. So again, just to recap, we used that encoded URL. We used this encoded URL. We pasted it into browser. We opened the network tab, and then we finished our login. Session key generation. So now our session key is generated. We should copy this. This value will be used in the code. We can call it session key, session token. So this is session key for today. Tomorrow, if I come back and I want to use this app again, I'll have to follow these same steps again, starting from opening the encoded URL and then generating the session key for tomorrow. Okay. So now we come to the programming part, right? So we have everything we need. We have a name for our app, which is nothing but the app key. We have a password for our app, which is nothing but the secret key, and we have that day's token, which is nothing but our session key. So we have these three things that we need to get started. Now we come to the programming part. It is recommended at this stage with Breeze API. It is recommended that you use Python, the Python SDK. It will simplify a lot of issues you guys may be facing. We've had a lot of issues with checksum. I mean, these things are maybe in the technical the underbelly or whatever. But by using the Breeze SDK, you can simplify your tasks a lot. Just for those people who are absolute beginners who've not used Python before, or don't know what choices to make. With Python, basically you have three choices, right? I mean, three popular choices these days. So one obvious choice is just use Python, the core Python itself, right? So you can go to python.org. It's free and open source software. You can download it as per your platform, Windows, Mac, OS, Linux, whatever you may be looking for. I believe these days on Linux it comes pre-installed in most distributions. The second popular choice for using Python is Anaconda. Right? So Anaconda itself, it comes with a number of IDs. Anaconda itself is not an ID. Anaconda is more like a manager for your Python environment, right? So in Python, one of the reasons why Python is so widely loved and used is because Python, we say that Python comes with batteries attached, right? So you have a number of libraries, whether you're in data science, whether you are writing your own application. I don't know if you used torrent software before. Torrent software was almost entirely written in Python, right? And these days, a lot of web servers are being written in Python. We have libraries like Flask, so you can get an API server or a web server running in blink of an eye. So all those codes are written in Python, and those libraries are openly available and freely available. So, but then what happens is that a lot of times, in one project you'll be using one version of a library, and in another project you'll be using a different version of a library. So, to manage those things, I mean, Anaconda has come to popularity, right? So that's why Anaconda is used. But Anaconda itself comes with its own libraries, with its own IDEs, and I'll be showing you in a moment. A third option that I have personally used also is Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code is also free and open source. It's a very popular IDE, and it comes with a lot of features. And as you can see in this screen, also you can see Python. You can install Python with the click of a button. Right. So these are the three popular choices these days. If you have any eccentric choices, anything you would like, maybe you can put it on Breeze community, and even we'll give it a shot. Right. So right now we'll go with Anaconda. Right. Any questions this
If
far?
you could just, if you could speak, the voice could be a little more, the pitch could be higher. That would be better. But you can continue with, I mean, how do we kind of get the data, the backtesting and everything?
Okay. So any ambiguity on the IDE part itself, or should we just get started with Anaconda?
Yeah, I think let's get started. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll just try to speak louder. I mean, I don't think I can bring the mic up.
That's fine.
I try to speak louder. Okay.
Yeah.
So we have, for today's demo, we'll be demonstrating on Anaconda. Anaconda itself is a 500 MB download. So I went ahead and initially I wanted to do the installation in front of our viewers, but right now, I mean, it's a 500 MB download. So I went ahead and downloaded and installed Anaconda. So for using Anaconda, the simplest way is just to open your Windows prompt and use the Anaconda app. This Anaconda app will actually show you all the choices that you have as far as the IDE is concerned. So it comes preloaded. It's starting up. I'll need to share that also, right? Let me go ahead and share. I'll just share my entire desktop, right? So that way there'll be no chance of it. You guys can see all the steps that I'm taking. Right. So my entire my entire screen visible now?
Yes.
Good. So what I had done, what you guys maybe didn't see, is that I just went to my Windows prompt, my start button. I went to the Anaconda listing, and from here I opened the Anaconda app. Right. I clicked here. So the Anaconda app is in the process of getting started. But maybe I need to restart it. Okay, so starting in the background. Right, so this is my Anaconda Navigator. From here, I can launch any number of IDs, interfaces that I need. Most commonly, other than your favorite IDE, which usually will probably be either Jupyter Notebook or Spider. Here, most commonly, you will also use the command prompt for installation of libraries and so on. So let's go ahead and do that. I launch the command prompt. Yeah. So here we see this is the base, right? So in Anaconda, like I said, you can create many different combinations of libraries. So we'll go ahead and install everything on base. You guys can explore Anaconda and its features on your own. So we'll leave that to you. The first thing you will want to do is to pip install breeze hyphen connect. Right. So here it is showing requirement already satisfied. Breeze connect in C demo user Anaconda. So inside packages. So basically version here please note this is version 1.0.10. Right. In case we have we do there is an upgrade. An upgrade can be installed as pip install breeze hyphen connect equal to, and then you give the version number. So let's say the next version number, if we come out with version 11, you will give it like this: pip install breeze connect is equal to version number. Right. So this is the now we have installed the breeze connect SDK. This is the Python SDK that we'll be using for for connecting to ICICI's Breeze API server and doing all the future tasks. So now we can exit this. Okay. Now I'll fire up Jupyter Notebook, so popular IDE that we have. Now, one of the advantages of Jupyter Notebook is that everything is on screen. Everything stays on screen, and a lot of widgets are available to you, and it opens in the browser. So there's no separate application. Right. So you see here, is my screen visible now? I mean, can you see Jupyter Notebook in my browser?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, great. So Jupyter Notebook this is my our computer itself. This is we're just browsing our computer's folders. One thing that Jupyter Notebook did was that it created a folder called Python scripts. This is where Jupyter Notebooks Python files will be stored. Unlike regular Python files, which have the .py extension, here it will be it uses slightly different form of Python. So it will be, let's just create a file. Let's start with. Okay, let's create real time there. So here I can change by clicking, this is open the file. My code will go here. This is the name of the file. So let me just call it my first. Okay. No need to give extension. The extension has been given. IPY, that actually IPython. So IPYNB for notebook, and that has been created in documents in Python scripts. You can see in the folder here. I'm just going through this so that it helps you in the future. You can locate this thing. Because this browser interface may not be intuitive for everyone. Oops. Right. So you see, my first breeze.ipynb has been created in my PC's documents Python scripts folder. Going back, let's get started. So the first thing you would want to do is to import the appropriate files from our Breeze Connect library. So what we'll do, we'll say from Breeze Connect, import Breeze Connect, right? That's it, and then you hit run, and you saw the asterisk has changed to 1. So this 1 is actually the line number or the clause, the paragraph. And when the asterisk converted to 1, that meant that that line has finished running, and now it's waiting for you to run the next line, right? So what I'll do is, I'll quickly open the code samples, and we'll run through that. Okay. So the first step will be session generation, right? So again, referring back to where we paste this stuff. So our API key, not the encoded one. This is we could use the original API key. Then the secret key, right? And then the session token that we generated for the day. Okay, so just two simple lines. ICICI is equal to Breeze Connect API key. So here we're just giving our own code. We're telling our code to remember this variable. Next line, ICICI.generate session. This line is the one that actually reaches out and messages our API server saying that, hey, I have this, with this API key, I want to start a session now, and here are my credentials. This is my password and this is my token. So let's go ahead and run this cell. Right? It shows asterisk and success. So that asterisk is converted to 2. That means this step, if there was any error, if I had made a mistake in this, in here somewhere, it would have given me an error. Right? But now we followed all the steps exactly as we saw, and we have generated a session. Okay. So let's get started with some basics. So the first thing I think everyone likes to do is first thing you want to do is you want to get some historical data, right? That's usually your starting point for most of your work. You look at historical data and create a strategy, right? So let's quickly get the code for historical data. Here we go. Let's get rid of print.
So Nitish, just to would you also articulate as to what is the query that right now you're going to get?
I'm sorry, Saurav, can you repeat that?
Yeah, so I'm saying, could you just articulate what is the query that you're running right now? What is the data that you're seeking?
Right. So I mean, so just give me a second. I'll just edit this. Just format this nicely so that people can, we can go through it in one go.
Yeah. So Nitish is just looking up the historical data for Axis Bank stock. And once you have the data, on top of it, there are all the analytics and backtesting which can be run.
Okay. So here, what this is doing is that we're ICICI is the object that we created above, for our connection. we're telling it to get historical data list, right? Historical charts list. Let's say that we want to get 1 minute data, right? So for 1 minute data, we'll just interval is equal to minute. What time span do we want this data for? We want this data from 15th November 2021 to let's say 15th. Let's say we want it till 16th November 2021, right? So we want almost from 7 a.m. to 7 a.m. That means we get the entire data for 15th only, right? So this is how we get only 1 day's data. This is just for demonstration purposes. I mean, you can increase that whatever you need is. What are we taking it for? We're taking it for Axis Bank. Stop code, we want futures data, right? So let's say we want to look it up for futures data. We get NFO, okay, which stands for NSE Futures and Options, right? Segment D for derivatives, product type F for futures. Exercise type and these are not necessary, but I mean you can put any values you want here. It won't really be looked up. So and then let's say that let's also take a look at what the structure, the response structure will be, so that job is easier. Let's take this into a variable and not just print out the output and not do anything with it. So the output, I know in advance it will come as a list. So I'll just start the variable name with the L data is equal to. And this taking some time, executed, right? So now we have L data. Let's look at the structure of L data itself. L data, this list will have 3 variables. It will have one will be success. Sorry, so in that sense, it's not a list. It's a dictionary, right? So it's returned a dictionary. So let's just first take a look at length of L data. Right, so it's got 3 elements. And this is printout data. It's easy well. Okay, so we actually got a blank one. So our data itself is blank. So we'll have to see if we have made an error here somewhere. So from date is from 15th, 16th. This is bank. Let's maybe try a different date. How about something closer? 22 January. January 16th. What is trading days? Wait. Was November 30th an expiry day? Maybe that was a mistake. Yeah, okay. We found the culprit. The expiry day was not 30th. The expiry day was on 25th of November. So that was the issue. Right. Let's try running this again. We have it. Yep. And here you see we have received the historical data and you see the structure, right? So the first part of this, this thing is success, and within success is a list of all your data points, right? Let's, one simple way to see this is how many data points are there. So that's L underscore data. $747. So we have received 747 data points. Very quickly, like you can on this L data success. This is a list structure. On this list structure, you can quickly maybe write a list comprehension and so on. Isolate maybe the volumes as you want. Of course, you have the entire OHL CV, right? So this is basically historical derivatives data that you are seeing for the first time in India on trading API, only on Breeze, right? So with Breeze, you can test, you can change the, I think in November, December would also have been, December expiry would also have been working. So you could have changed this expiry to the December expiry and you've gotten the December expiry. So let's just really quickly try that out, right? So December expiry date was on 30th, right? So quickly change this to December and 30th. Right. Yep. And here you see the historical data, 1 day's historical data for December 30th expiry, future on Axis Bank underlying. All right. So that will be probably the first use case you will have. You will want to download historical data, and then do your analysis, model your trade, model your strategy, and then come back and trade. So when you want to trade, right, when you want to start trading, the first thing you will want to do is subscribe to live data, right? That will be the very first use you will have for live data, for the API, right? So first thing you do, the code. So you will use your you will tell your code first to connect to something called the WebSocket streaming service, right? So the streaming service is where you will get the live data on. So similar to what we did above. So since we're using even the same thing, let's just quickly copy this from here. So exchange code NFO. Let's look at his futures data. We were looking at Axis Bank. So hypothetically, we've made our strategy in Axis Bank only. Product type futures. Strike date. Well, let's see which is the sorry. Strike date. That's the expiry date. So let's just look at the current what will expire this month. This month will be on 24th, right? So strike price. Well, let's just quickly take a look at what the Axis Bank expiries are. So some applications here. Saurav, if you could help me out here, can you just quickly open NSE India and let's see what strikes are available on Axis Bank?
So sorry, what would you want me to do?
Oh yeah. Okay. So we're looking at this thing, right? We're looking at futures. So let's strike price can be nothing. I mean, we don't really need a strike price. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, and also Nitish, in the interest of people who are little new to APIs, we may also articulate the query or what you're running.
Okay. Yeah, I'll just just got caught up in the coding part on writing the code. So what we're doing here is that we are connecting to the WebSocket, right? So WebSocket is a service that that keeps running on the site on our API server, on these API servers, and it keeps listening for requests like this one only, that where you want to get streaming data, right? So once you send a query to the WebSocket, which is within the realm of the API, then you can tell it what instrument you want, and then and just give an instruction that whenever there's a tick, then please send me data, right? So every time a tick is a kind of like an exchange time, right? So it's an interval. So for say for example, if a future is not traded for 5 minutes, it won't generate a tick, right? But as soon as a trade takes place, then you'll be sent data about it. So this is long and short of how we subscribe to live data. And let's just run the cell, leave everything was in order.
Okay. So just for the, from the voice of, new users only, now the live feeds keep on coming. What happened? What do I do after that?
Then you can catch it in a variable. You can, so usually what people do if they don't want to run a multi-threaded application, they take live feed for 5 minutes, store it in a list, and then, do their operation, right? Whatever, they want to see the close price, open price, or the average price, and then use it in their, the rest of their logic to get this thing. Right? Makes sense?
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So it's just telling me that type should be either futures or options for the given. So let's just say it's futures, right? Okay, we missed that part. Okay. Let's try.
It's just not using Hindi as a language. We're well conversant with Hindi, but just from the diversity of population, we are not using Hindi as a language. Yeah. So Nitish, right now, what are you trying to do? Just so that everybody who's
yeah. So the issue here that we're being told is that this, the stock code is wrong. So let's just try to figure out where the issue. So there's somewhere over here, that we're making a mistake. So.
And just one question which has been put in is that this is NSE stock code or this is ICICIdirect stock code?
Yeah, this is ICICIdirect stock code. The code itself is ICICIdirect. I think we're facing an issue somewhere else, that some date time, and that's usually where the issues. Let's try to see. So I think we'll just skip this step for now, sort of. We'll come back. So
yeah. So I think you could go to putting up a trade.
Yeah.
And then SDKs.
Yeah. No, so this is the SDK. Not to be confused on that part. This is the SDK which we're using, right? So we're not doing this without the SDK. Without the SDK, a single line of this code would have taken, maybe, what you see as a single line here would have taken maybe 10 to 40 lines, depending on complexity. So we'll persevere with Axis Bank only. So just to make sure the order doesn't actually go through, let's look at Axis Bank. So right now it's trading at 795.10 paise. So let's try to place an order for 7 fair enough. So let's quickly run through that. We are going to be placing an order for stock code Axis Bank, exchange code NFO for NSE futures and options, product is futures, action buy, order type, it's going to be limit order, quantity 1200. This we're not going to have a stop loss, day validity, or validity date. Let's just make this today. So that's 2022 02 04, and time is inconsequential. Disclosed quantity is 0. Let's close. So we must have some disclosed quantity, right? So, well, actually, it doesn't matter in futures. You don't have disclosed quantity. Expiry date. Let's update that. So the next expiry is going to be on 24th of February. So let's change that quickly. Right. So no need for write. It's just placeholder, strike price, placeholder, mark test. Okay. So user remark is many of you will find this very useful. Is if you want to give your own identifier here, maybe you're running different types of orders, right? So maybe your logic, your code places one market order and then one limit order, and then wants to convert that to a market order later. So you can put this in the code that this is in user remark that this order is a modified order, or this is a code generated order of some kind. So later on, it'll be very easy to run through. Yep, success none, status 500, price entered by you is beyond price. Okay, so we're being too ungenerous.
Price is 795, not 7.
Yes. So I was just trying to put a safe price that does not execute.
Okay, so you can put 760.
760.
It's a range issue.
Yeah. Okay, so I don't have. So this clearly says that the available futures and options limit is insufficient to cover the trade value. Now this will require me to log into my account and put money in for margin. But that's essentially so. Order is, in general, the success. We do see that our message has reached the API server, and it's basically, our order placement itself is successful. Otherwise, it would have returned that something like stock code not on, like we saw earlier, or like the price error that we were getting. Right. So I think this should suffice, right, for order placement.
Yeah. So this works for cash equities, intraday. You want to put a stop loss,
yes.
everything.
Yes, everything. So the stop loss would, if I wanted a stop loss order here, I would have simply given a stop loss here, right? That's all it would take.
Okay, so somebody who simply wants to use this to place an order, and let's say does not use live data, can just use this code and enter the details here and place them. So this is the only information which is the critical information, and the fields are little self-sufficient, self-explanatory.
Right.
And the validity, the could be multiple days. That depends.
Yes, that depends on your order type. You can change your order type. You can give validity date as a valid till, So if you want, if it's a multiple day order, you can give a multiple the same. So the validity would change here and here. Okay. So here you can even say it's IOC. So it's immediate or cancel. In that case, the validity date would not be read. I mean, it would just it would act like IOC order.
And I want to place a margin order. So how do I place tag that as a margin order as margin?
Okay, I have never tried that actually, but let me just look it up quickly in the API reference. Okay. So you can, first of all, you can get your margin here by using margin. So another cool thing that you can do with API with the SDK, sort of, is quickly you can look up what all functions are available on your API, right? So we created the object called ISEC. We can just it's not running in this thing, so let's just okay. So yeah, margin we can cover in a future one then, sort of.
Okay. So and the live data that which is gonna come. I mean, I could put that in an Excel.
Yeah, line data, you'll have to save it into a variable. So just like we took this historical data into variable, right? We took historical data into a variable. So this variable, then we can, using Python's functions, we can take it into CSV, and the CSV then we can save as a Excel. Save as Excel or view as Excel, right? So let me just try that. I mean, the spirit of time. So let's first.
Also, yeah, I mean, could I place conditional orders, which is if Nifty breaks today's low, then initiate a sell?
Yeah, I mean, so those will be future. Those we have planned already. That will have future things that cover such conditional. How to create such conditions. But definitely you can. So we saw Axis Bank was trading at 795, and we can say sell if Axis Live is greater than let's say 800, then sell. So then your order would be executed at that point.
Okay, so open interest is available in historical data. And Anurag, you want to put it in the chat? Yeah, you could go ahead.
No. Open interest. We saw the futures. This thing. Open interest is not available on historical data. Yeah.
Volumes are available. Yeah.
Yeah, volumes are available, of course. It is open, high, low, close, and volume are available.
Sure. Feedback on why it's taken.
Yeah, so you see sort of here, what we have done is basically we put, we imported this Python. Of course, it requires more coding here. But what we basically did was we imported pandas. This is library. Using pandas, we converted our historical data, right? We had a historical data here, L data. We converted that into a data frame, what is called a data frame. And just to see the top, see a sample of the data frame, you see it's more tabular and more what we're used to in Excel format, right? So this is one way of, this is one step. This is the first step of perhaps converting it to a CSV file. Okay. So, of course, it will require this pandas to CSV.
It's just the question has come a few times. Is how many years of historical data are available for both equities and derivatives?
Right. So as I noted in the beginning, we have data starting from April of 2011 for equities, and data starting from April 2018 for derivatives, both futures and options.
And granularity of the data?
Granularity is, the Equities data that's available from 2011 is of 1 minute granularity, up down to 1 minute. And something more recent like 2018, I believe we have 1 second granularity for equities also. And derivatives data is available, since 2018 in both second and minute format. So you get tick data as not true tick by tick, but tick data, what you see on your charts and stuff, and OHLCV, both.
Just very basic stuff, only for the interest of newcomers here. What is the full form of OHLC?
OHLCV is open, high, low, close, and volume. So this denotes the columns or the fields that you will see. So here you see here you see, right? So what do you see here? Open, high, low, close, and volume. These are the main 5 fields that you will get.
And this is tick by tick for the live feeds. The volumes are tick. So on that tick, 12,000 orders, 12,000 quantity was traded.
See, we had so this was requested in a minute format, right? We had requested minute, right? Interval is a minute. So in this minute, so the bar of this minute, right? So if you visualize this as a bar on your candlestick chart, right? So the bar, when it opened, the price of this future contract was 744.5. It reached in the following 1 minute, it reached a high of 745.25 and a low of 744.5. And then that minute closed at 7:45. So that's how you interpret this. And in that 1 minute, how many underlying were exchanged? So 12,000, right? So 12,000 contracts of this future were exchanged were traded in that 1 minute.
And I'm gonna get this 1 minute volume quantity also. I can get for any period, and and for live as well.
Yes, live is yet to be launched, but yeah, very soon we'll be launching live also. In live data, when we actually request the live data itself, it will be streaming data, so it won't be for an interval of 1 minute or 5 minutes. That part is going to come live soon as we go live with the webhooks. But as of now, you will get stick data, so it will be streaming data. It will continue as soon as the trade happens on the exchange. You will get that data here. So it's much like the chart, right? So on your chart, what you see, a developing chart pattern is nothing but live data in display, right? It is the format of display is not raw; it is the chart itself. Yes, I believe somebody asked a question about product type. So yes, I mean, you can for futures, you can, in case you're placing a futures order, you can, put your order type here. Yeah. So here you can sorry, on product type. So on product, you can make it future plus, or so on. So this kind of documentation you will find in Breeze API. So this the API documentation here will match the SDK usage point by point, field by field. So any guidance you need on exactly how to steer the SDK, you can find here. So say for example, if you go
on the chat you see Anurag putting the codes for margin, which is just margin plus for intraday. That takes care of the margining also, because then the margin which are blocked on the accounts will get charged as per the margining.
Right. So here you see on product you can give future plus, option plus, and so on. So depending on whatever product you're trading, you would have traded on the ICICIdirect portal, the same product corresponds here.
So how do I get my portfolio details?
Yeah, portfolio details will be portfolio position, portfolio holdings, the holdings that will be available. You give the from date to date, and the actual the live positions you can get from here. Portfolio positions.
And also, would you address the checksum issue? I mean, that has
So
kind of come.
yeah, so I mean, okay, at this point, I mean, if you imported Breeze Connect, you will notice that we never did a checksum, right? So the checksum, I'm sorry, my computer is acting up, but I have to stop sharing. Sorry, is it okay if I stop sharing at this point?
Yeah.
My computer is overheating or something. So yeah, so at this point, it'll be, we should note that at no point in our Python code did we ever have to use the checksum facility, right? Function, because the Python SDK is doing that behind the scenes for you. There is no need for you to separately do a checksum.
Investments in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all related documents carefully before investing.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel and click on the bell icon to never miss an update from ICICIdirect.